What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Cozy coming at you with our first EB02 list other than that green purple Luffy deck, but we're going right back to where we know everything nice and tight. I am going to be running Shanks in EB02 as I feel this particular list could be the green purple Luffy killer. It could be something that plays really well into that deck, and with everybody falling in love with it on announcement, I feel building a list that does well into everything and even better into a green purple Luffy, I feel this is the list to do that. What I'm going to do is same thing we always do for our One Piece decks. We're going to go through the 2Ks, we're going to go through the characters, and then of course we're going to go through events and stages if we run any. So without further ado, and in addition to that, before I get myself too caught up here, I'm also going to be talking about in the frame of reference to how this deck will work not only in the current meta, but also with green purple Luffy in mind, just so that we can kind of see the thought process behind this deck build. So now that I've finished everything I wanted to say, let's go ahead and hop right into these 2Ks. All right, guys, welcome back. Like I said, we're going to start with our 2Ks here. So there are 16 2Ks if I remember right, but we're going to double check and count here as we go through. But I believe I'm running 16 2Ks in this list. And so, of course, we're going to start with just 2 copies of Lime Juice. It's a really good 2K just to have, but that additional on play to kind of make things unblockable is going to be really, really good, especially if they have those chump blockers like the Vasco shot for Blackbeard, the 2-drop purple Robin that a lot of purple leaders do run. So like example, green purple Luffy does run that Nico Robin blocker. They're probably going to use it early, but at least if they have it as an additional level of protection in the later game, then what you're going to see is drop down the Lime Juice, they no longer can use it, and then of course they're not going to be able to look at the top 3 cards, they're not going to be able to grab anything, so now they're kind of forced to use cards in hand, use that Gum Gum Giant, rely more heavily on them being a 6K leader, things like that. For the additional pressure, I do like to run 2 of the 2-drop Sanji that came out in OP01. I feel this card is just really, really good as a 7K, especially if you can get it down early. And you being a 5-life leader, you're willing to give up 1 life just to get an additional 7K swing in. What I like to do is I'll play this on my first available turn. So if I'm going second, which ideally this Shanks list does kind of like to run going second more often than not, you're going to play the Sanji turn 1. Turn 2, you're going to play something else that has 4 Dawns, so like the Tony Chopper blocker, the 4-drop Lucky Roo, something like that, just to get the rested Dawn. So then you can swing 5 with leader, 7 with Sanji. So you get 2 available and heavy hitting swings just to make sure that you can really drive home and get that done. The other thing I like to run, of course, is 4 copies of Hongo. I think Hongo is a really good 2K to have. It is going to be very helpful in green purple Luffy if this thing can stick. Which in green purple Luffy, one thing that I did notice is it does not have a lot of removal other than, attacking into something and things like that. So the Hongo is going to stick until you need it to. So the moment they play Sanji Pudding, what you're going to do is you're going to rest the Hongo and use something to pop a body, because Hongo is going to give something minus 2K. So that Sanji Pudding is going to be at 7, going down to 5, and then we can get rid of something that way with like Beckman, with the Mole Pistol. You don't even have to use Hongo for it, but if they have some of those larger bodies, Hongo is going to take care of this, even in the meta, right? I know Black is going to have an easy time getting rid of the Hongo, so you wouldn't necessarily want to use it in your Black matchups, only so that way you can make sure that your power reduction control is available and ready to use. Of course, I did talk about it earlier. We do run 4 copies of the Tony Chopper blocker. It's just a really good blocker. It's a 6K blocker for 4. It is going to stick on the board until they cost reduce to KO it. If they are going for the power reduction option, they're really essentially wasting Dawn to do so in this particular case. So just something to be mindful of. I like putting the chopper blocker down whenever I get the chance to, more so than just using it as a 2K, because in my opinion, blocker better than 2K. The last set of 2Ks we run is a full playset of the Otamas. Again, just staple 2K. Great cost reduction in the later game, especially if you have Hongo on board. You're going to play Otama, rest Hongo, minus 4K something on the board, and it's just going to make it a whole lot easier to like Mole Pistol, to Beckman, to Rayleigh, something like that that's going to really set you up for that more control-y style and like control aspect of the game. Outside of that, we really don't play anything until the 4 costs hit the board. And so for our 4 costs, we're in 4 copies of Lucky Roo. Just a really good blocker, something that's going to pop a 4K really, really easily. If they play a 5K body, we're going to -1 that character with the Shanks ability, block with the Lucky Roo, and then hopefully we can start popping things left, right, and center. Unfortunately, Lucky Roo only does focus on base power, so that is something to keep in mind. As long as they have a base power of 6K or less, then we're good. So any 5K body, 6K body, doesn't matter. Lucky Roo's getting rid of them, just like he did in episode 1, claiming bodies early. For 5 drops, the first set we do run is 4 copies of Yasop, just a really good protection character. Drop this on your 5-Dawn turn or your 6-Dawn turn if you're going second. Gives your leader plus 1K for the rest of your turn and your opponent's turn. So you are going to also be a 6K body comparison to Luffy, and as well as having people commit more Dawn than they need to provide that additional swing. He also has a Dawn ×1 when attacking ability to give one of your opponents -1000. So if they have a 6K body on board, you can swing 7 using Yasop's effect to target what you're swinging into. So it becomes a 7 into a 6 or a 5, just so that way you can add additional pressure and get stuff off the board. He then becomes a pseudo blocker at that point because they are going to want to get rid of the Yasops, just so that way they aren't seeing that -1000 power reduction. You know we got to run it. The other 5 cost we run, of course, is that 4 copies of the 5-drop Luffy from ST21. Just such a good card to have. It's a baby dragon on attack. So when you attack, take any rested Dawn, move that 1 Dawn to a leader or a character. Again, also becomes a pseudo blocker because it's something they have to deal with. So we have additional levels of protection for our leader. And of course, the leader effect does give us a free 1K on an attack. So that is something to also be mindful of in terms of protecting these characters, because you are going to need them to add additional pressure to your opponent, especially if they're a 4 or even a 3 life leader. Having these extra swings and extra power on board is going to be vital in your game plan. Next up, I run 2 copies of Edward Newgate. It's just a really good card. On play, move a rested Dawn to your leader or another character, and then when activate main, rest this character, you're going to pop a 5K. So if you have the Newgate on board, you can play the Otama, rest the Hongo, pop a 5K. So any 9K character with Otama, Hongo, and Newgate is gone. We don't even have to rely on playing additional Dawn, because if we play the 1 here, we have Hongo on board already, we have Newgate on board. Essentially, we're giving up 1 Dawn to pop a 9K. And then, of course, Hongo's going to die. Newgate's probably going to live because he's such a tall and stronger body. So kind of got to play around with that. I would be more cautious of. But if you don't want to run the 16 2Ks, you can solely rely on Hongo just being that extra body to pay for 3, activate main, rest him -2K, pop an 8K, or pop a 7K, sorry, with the Newgate, because he'll be a 5K body. Next up, I run 4 copies of Ben Beckman. You gotta run Ben Beckman in a Shanks deck. You can't skip out on, dare I say, probably one of the better red cards to come out of any set other than Ben Beckman. You trash a 6K body, a 6K body or less, that does not include base power. So, you play Otama, you rest Hongo, play Beckman. For 8 Dawn, we are popping a 10K body. So we are almost there to popping like a Marshall D. Teach blocker. We're almost there at popping a 10-drop Big Mom if you're playing into like a Katakuri deck. You're easily popping with Otama Beckman or Hongo Beckman, you're popping the Sanji puddings that green purple Luffy lives and dies by. So if you can get rid of 2 or even 3 of the Sanji puddings, you're already ahead of the game when it comes against green purple Luffy. That I feel just this deck is that green purple Luffy killer with so many ways for us to pop bodies, like including 4 copies of Silver's Rayleigh, who's going to minus 3k something, minus 2k something, and pop a 3k or less. So if you go Otama Rayleigh or Hongo Rayleigh, you're definitely popping a Sanji pudding, and you're minus power something that is a potential heavy swing, like the secret Luffy in green purple Luffy. Next up, I only run 3 copies of Monkey D. Dragon. It's such a good endgame card. You're going to pay 8, move 2 Rested Dawn somewhere else, swing 9, swing 7 with Leader as an example. Moving that Dawn and manipulating it to get some extra power out of your swings, especially when you play it on curve, or if you have enough Dawn to kind of hold back some additional Dawn on the side. If you're playing 10 Dawn, play Dragon, swing 9, swing 7. If you have the Luffy on board, you're going to swing another 6, move another Dawn somewhere else. So you're just playing a lot with your Dawn manipulation, and you're really driving home that additional pressure. I run 3 copies of the Static Shanks. Just such a really good character to have. Minus 1k something, so if you play out your Shanks before you start playing some more your board control stuff, if you see your board control stuff a little bit later, then the Shanks is going to help you in the long term. Minus 1k, static to everything. Otama Beckman, Hongo Beckman, Hongo Newgate, Otama Newgate, Otama Rayleigh, Hongo Rayleigh. Just there's so many different ways to pop characters in this list that it's just absolutely insane to see something like that. Speaking of popping things, we run 2 copies of the Pop Shanks. Again, a really good card to see kind of like on curve, really. It's going to get rid of anything that has 10k or less power, so it doesn't even matter what they play. Shanks is killing it. Green Purple Luffy, anything they play is instantly dying. So that is something to really positively see, that this list is just popping everything on board, either through power manipulation or playing the 10-drop Pop Shanks. For events, run 2 Gum Gum Mole Pistols. Just a really good card to see, especially if you're going into green with that Eustace Captain Kidd. If you have Otama Mole Pistol and you have a 6k body on board already, it's popping the Kidd, or it's going to pop the Rosinante that they play, or forces them to rest the Tashigi. And now that Kidd is a -1, -6, so it's at a 2k. So anything on our board, other than Otama, can KO it. They're going to have to force the block. You can just swing 5 with your Leader. It's going to force them to block. Then you swing with one of the smaller bodies, and then they're going to have to give you counter in hand, which they're not going to. They view it as, we use 2 swings, we can go ahead and get rid of the Kidd. But just this card sets you up for a lot of different matchups to get rid of pesky bodies, to force them into awkward counters, and things like that. Last but not least, I run 2 Divine Departure in this. You got to run Divine Departure in Shanks at some point. Like, I've played around with using it and with not using it. It's a really good 6-cost event to pop any character with 8,000 power or less, or you can just hold it on to counter. Gives your Leader plus 3k. So Leader effect Divine Departure gives you a plus 4k counter, and that's not even including any additional counter you have in your hand. In reality, we're not running a whole lot of non-counter cards, in my opinion, when it comes to what we can do. We run 16 2Ks. We run 4, 8, 9, 10 additional counters, 11, 12, 13, 14 additional counters. In reality, the bricks we have is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. We run as many 2Ks as we do bricks, so that is going to be a really healthy balance. I feel this list is very, very strong. I can't wait to try it out and show you guys on the channel for Wednesday's upload, so be on the lookout for that. But this is going to be my EB02 Shanks list. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, 1, like this video, 2, subscribe to that channel, and 3, ring that notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace and love, y'all.